In this video, I'm going to be giving a spoiler-free review of Uncharted. Now, I'm going to be providing kind of a different perspective compared to most reviews that you'll see for this film, just because I've actually never played the video games before. It's just one of many sort of original series like that I've just never sort of made the time to play. Even though I've heard it's a really damn good series, I've just never gotten around to it. So I'm just going to be reviewing this film as a film, and I can't really comment on how good or bad an adaptation it actually is. This film sees Nathan Drake, a young adventurer, joining another sort of treasure hunter named Sully on a quest to find a treasure in the hopes of sort of uncovering the truth about the whereabouts of his brother. And like any other kind of adventure film, there's other parties on their tail as they're hunting down this treasure. Now, video game adaptations have taken several leaps forward in the past few years. It used to be almost sort of a death nail to say that, oh, we're doing a video game movie just because they would be some of the worst movies of the year. But over the past few years, they've gotten a whole lot better. You know, I thought the Tomb Raider film from 2018 was okay. I thought Sonic the Hedgehog from a couple years ago was sort of a solid kids film. And the Mortal Kombat film, I never saw it last year, but from what I hear, it actually wasn't bad for what it was. Whether you've played the games or not, this film itself is relying and banking on the star power and performances from its two leads, Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. Holland, who's playing Nathan Drake, is playing a slightly more serious and tougher version of the typical Tom Holland characters we've seen in films over the past few years, and Mark Wahlberg is essentially playing the same kind of character we see in most of the films he does. You know, Transformers is the first thing that comes to mind. But regardless, I thought both were pretty good in the movie. Whether or not they're good or great matches for their video game characters, I can't really comment on because, like I said, I have not played those games before. There's hardly an extensive cast of supporting characters around them, though. Antonio Banderas plays an opposing obstacle to the group, although he honestly doesn't play as significant a role as I thought he would based on the trailers. There's sort of a badass short-haired chick that was sort of a solid opposing force through the film, and there's a fellow adventurer named Chloe, who I thought was pretty good, and her character strayed away from going in the cliche directions that these kind of stories normally go in. You know, most of the elements in the film are just sort of good enough, you know? I mean, the story was just fine, the pacing is solid, the runtime was appropriate, thankfully under 2 hours. Where the film really sold me, though, was the action sequences. They got better and better as the film went along. You know, you start out with some basic sort of fist fight scenes that had some solid choreography and were enjoyable. Then you get sort of that iconic air carrier Skyfall scene that we've seen in the trailers. That was a fantastic sequence. It was a lot better than it looked based on those trailers. But the best is saved for last with an elongated aerial type sequence, an action sequence that takes place in the sky. That's just amazing. You know, I didn't really see it in the trailers, so I'm not really going to spoil it if it wasn't in those trailers. But it honestly was just so enjoyable. You know, it's honestly one of the most original, fun action sequences I've seen in a while, and it really does make the movie. That, along with Wahlberg and Holland's performances, helps solidify the film as an enjoyable adventure film for me. You know, nothing mind-blowing, but fun enough to where I actually might go play the games now. I actually do have an urge to go play them, and I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to this film. So I would give it a 7 out of 10. You know, it was a solid time for me. Keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, I have not played the games, so I can't comment on how good, bad an adaptation this is, but for what I saw, I enjoyed it. So that'll do it for this movie review. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching.